From ABC News, World News Sunday, here's Forrest Sawyer.
Good evening. Just 2 days left before the nation's first presidential primary in New Hampshire. No one would have predicted a year ago that both Democrats and Republicans would be running heated campaigns. Pat Buchanan is predicting an embarrassment for President Bush, who has accused the Buchanan campaign of outright lies. Ann Compton is watching the Republican race.
George Bush bluntly told New Hampshire voters today this is no time to cast a protest vote, and he did it without ever letting the name Pat Buchanan pass his lips. But one Republican voter confronted the president, saying he likes much of what Buchanan is saying about the economy.
Buchanan is coming across at this, and I'm right on the fence with a half a dozen other votes, and I want to hear what you got to say.
It's one thing to make campaign rhetoric, and it's another thing to get your sleeves rolled up and trying to support the president in getting it done. And that's my point to the voters of New Hampshire.
In a jab apparently aimed at Buchanan's career as a television pundit, Mr. Bush said this is not an election for the man with the quickest wit.
There are a lot of people out there a lot more charismatic than I am, but a lot of them don't have to make the tough decisions either. Heck, if that were the case, Phil Donahue might be president of the United States.
It is Buchanan's ad campaign, not his wit, that has angered the Bush camp. Buchanan continues to accuse the president of dropping a promised $500 income tax exemption for children from his immediate economic recovery plan.
I think what we have here with Mr. Bush and his tax plan is a classical example of the bait and switch. Mr. Bush is running a sting operation on the people of New Hampshire, and he's not going to get away with it a second time.
Both political camps are now playing the expectations game. The Buchanan side says he needs only 25% to send President Bush a message. The Bush team says Buchanan may get 35%. With local polls showing Buchanan in the neighborhood of 30%, that may leave both sides room to declare victory Tuesday night. Ann Compton, ABC News, Hollis, New Hampshire.
The latest poll from the Boston Globe shows Paul Tsongas increasing his lead over Bill Clinton, 32% of the likely Democratic vote to Clinton's 21%. Tom Harkin shows up at 12%. Bob Kerrey at 11% and Jerry Brown at 6%. The write-in drive for Mario Cuomo has gained 4% support. This was a high-profile day for most of those candidates, trying to score a few more points as they come down to the wire. ABC's Jack Smith has more.
Sun shines out.
Most of the Democrats today were scheduled on network talk shows, and frontrunner Paul Tsongas repeated his opposition to the middle-class tax cut favored by most of his rivals.
And all things being equal, I would love to endorse it. I mean, that is a very valid argument. But the fact is the need for this country is to get the economy moving. So I think my ultimate responsibility to the middle class is to give them a job.
Bill Clinton, in second place now, is trying to stick to the issues, too. But on ABC's This Week with David Brinkley was asked about the personal questions that have dogged his campaign.
You got to be willing to take your lumps, and I think one of the tests of a president is whether or not that man or woman can live with the pressure, take the heat, and go on.
And Clinton said he was such a man. No candidate has taken more pokes at Clinton than Tom Harkin, and today he had to defend that.
You have made no complaints?
I haven't made complaints. I've responded to questions from reporters. I said that it seems to me that these things that keep coming up, and I've said this publicly, that all of these issues that come up raise questions about his veracity and character, and they do.
The question of attacking other candidates surfaced in Bob Kerry's campaign today, too. Kerry put his pollster Harrison Hickman on probation for releasing an unauthorized memo questioning Clinton's Vietnam draft status.
He operated independent of any instructions that I gave him, and as a consequence, violated a personal trust.
The incident probably won't affect Kerry, who is locked in a fight for third place with Harkin. If the polls hold up, only Tsongas and Clinton stand to gain momentum here. And former California Governor Jerry Brown in the single digits is given no chance at all. Jack Smith, ABC News, Manchester, New Hampshire.
Well, once the New Hampshire votes have been counted, the 92 presidential campaign picks up speed. 5 days after New Hampshire, Maine holds its presidential caucuses. 2 days after that come the South Dakota primaries. And 1 week later, on March 3rd, 7 states and American Samoa will stage their primaries or caucuses. On that day alone, almost 9% of the delegates to the Democratic National Convention will be selected. Of all the party contests up to that point, Maryland's Democratic primary may well prove to be the most important. ABC's Cokie Roberts explains why.
lunchtime finds Baltimore's Lexington market awash in fruits and fish and voters unfocused on the presidential candidates.
Most of them are a blur right now.
You haven't decided yet?
I'm usually pretty well decided this close to a primary, but I haven't settled on anybody.
Some of these voters had settled on Bill Clinton and then unsettled.
I think he has a lot of strikes against him. And I don't like to vote for a loser.
Though Maryland might not be getting much attention, this state might end up having more influence on the Democratic nomination than New Hampshire does. Here, no candidate is running in his home region, and here, voters more closely reflect national attitudes.
Maryland's important regardless of how we do, because it's representative of the whole country. You have the rural areas, Eastern Shore and Southern Maryland, and then Baltimore City, which has very serious urban problems.
With its seacoast and seafood, city streets and suburban sprawl, Maryland does provide a microcosm of the nation, but that's not the only reason Clinton supporters stress its significance.
And we all have to remember that former Senator Tsongas is really a favored son in New Hampshire.
If he's not to be dismissed as a regional candidate, Tsongas must win Maryland.
We feel it's very important and felt it would be very important since back around September, because it would show Tsongas' ability to do well outside of New England.
Pollsters warn Marylanders like frontrunners.
They voted for Mondale in '84, they voted for Carter in '80, they voted for Dukakis in '88. If Tsongas wins New Hampshire, Clinton's strength is questionable. They could get on the Tsongas bandwagon.
Clinton's counting on Maryland to propel him toward Super Tuesday. If he goes into those southern primaries with no significant victories to his name, Clinton could have trouble convincing his own region to support him. And if Tsongas wins Maryland, he could head south as something more than a regional New England candidate. Cokie Roberts, ABC News, Baltimore.
The top international story this evening, less than 48 hours after 3 Israeli soldiers were attacked and killed at an army camp inside their own borders. Israel struck back with air assaults in southern Lebanon. 11 people were killed, including the leader of a pro-Iranian group called Hezbollah, together with his wife and son. ABC's Dean Reynolds has more.
As the chief of Hezbollah, Abbas Musawi led an organization with a long record of terrorism. It was Hezbollah that had a hand in the attack on the U.S. Marine encampment in Beirut in 1983. Hezbollah that kidnapped Western hostages and held them for years. Hezbollah, which had been fomenting an Islamic revolution in Lebanon, all the while fighting Israeli soldiers to the death. Today's helicopter gunship assault took place north of the Israeli-controlled security zone in South Lebanon. A deliberate strike, said Israeli officials, against Musawi.
This terrorist group, like many others, understand only one language, and that's the language of force, unfortunately.
Yesterday, 3 Israeli soldiers were hacked to death in an attack widely believed to be the work of Palestinians. The resulting Israeli public anxiety over the fitness of the military here could well be lessened by today's retaliation against Hezbollah. As for the Middle East peace process, Israeli officials said the killing of Musawi should have no effect.
If we attack the enemies of the peace process, why should it bring about the collapse of the peace process? Those are enemies of the peace process.
It is worth noting that aside from Iran, no government in this region, not even Lebanon, has so far officially condemned the Israeli raid against Hezbollah. And that may well be a sign of how unpopular Islamic fundamentalism really is with the rulers of the Middle East. Dean Reynolds, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
Coming up, Secretary of State James Baker's push to bring democracy to a former Soviet republic. And later in the broadcast, Martina Navratilova in a record-shattering victory. And the Winter Olympics, economic boon or ecological disaster?
World News Sunday, brought to you by ITT Corporation.
We built this business.
I hit the brakes. You know they're anti-lock brakes.
It was close, but we stopped in time.
Build this business.
Every year they plant new trees. Dad says they make good things from trees.
After my accident, they advanced my insurance benefits and built me a ramp and got me back on my feet.
We built this business to build your dreams.
It could start in your office, in your home, over lunch.
But now, wherever heartburn starts, this is where it ends. Introducing new Maalox Heartburn Relief Formula. No ordinary antacid works like this one to put out heartburn.
Imagine a rent-a-car company that offers special delivery right to your door. That's Enterprise.
Here, let me help you.
Enterprise, a special rent-a-car company that gives you special delivery.
Secretary of State Baker today wound up his tour of the former Soviet republics in Central Asia. He left Uzbekistan and headed for Moscow, where he will meet with Russian President Boris Yeltsin tomorrow. But before he left, Baker heard an urgent appeal from Uzbekistan's opposition leaders. Here's John McWethy.
This is where Tamerlane and Genghis Khan once walked, building stunning monuments to their empires. Samarkand is an old city in the heart of the new Central Asian nation, Uzbekistan. James Baker came here today in the rain to see and better understand some of the powerful history and religion that is shaping this country and region after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Islam is growing in strength, unsettling today's leaders with whispers about building an Islamic fundamentalist state. Iran, Turkey, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and even Israel are all vying for influence. In Uzbekistan, the president, Islam Karimov, is an old-time party boss who is still communist in all but name. Baker's strategy is to try to influence leaders like Karimov to push them toward democracy and free market economies. Opposition leaders had little good to say about his regime.
Politically, we have no freedom at all. This totalitarianism continues to exist.
So Baker now leaves Central Asia after a week of intense diplomacy. The U.S. will soon be opening embassies in all of these new countries and offering to help. But Baker has now seen for himself that the political soil in this part of the world is so rocky that democracies and free market economies may have real trouble ever taking root. John McWethy, ABC News, Samarkand, Uzbekistan.
Still overseas, the head of Algeria's military-backed government says up to 6,000 people are now being held in detention camps set up under the new state of emergency there. The ruling council imposed the state of emergency 1 week ago to stamp out Muslim fundamentalist agitation for an Islamic state. When we come back, the one federal government cutback that could ruin California's farmers.
This is ordinary bulk fiber. It's full of grit. This is new Sunrise Smooth Metamucil. The grit is gone because it's triple ground for smoothness. This is ordinary fiber. The grit is definitely not gone. This is new Sunrise Smooth Metamucil, the best mixing, smoothest tasting natural fiber you can buy. The grit is gone. New Sunrise Smooth Metamucil. For regularity, nothing works better. And the grit is gone.
There's lots of ways to have garlic. The Kwai difference is the consistency of garlic qualities of this easy-to-swallow tablet. There's no better way to have garlic than odor-free Kwai.
Millions of Europeans have been taking Kwai odor-free garlic tablets for years. It's part of their daily diet.
Kwai is odor-free and so easy to swallow.
Kwai is available at quality drugstores, health and natural food stores, and general nutrition centers. Kwai, science and nature working for you.
Everyone has a dream, a vision deep inside.
When I decide to follow up on an investing idea, I need a broker who's ready when I am.
We make it easier to follow your own lead.
I can call Schwab at any hour, nights or weekends, get the information I need, even place an order to trade.
Always there to give you just the help you need.
Help yourself at Schwab today.
In the midday sun, a gentle breeze, the embrace of wide eyes. Remember these, the touch, the feel, the fabric of our lives. The touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives.
For the past week, the big story in California has been the powerful storms that have been hitting the region and the deadly flooding that they've spawned. But despite all of that rain, California's agricultural heartland continues to suffer through a drought that is now in its 6th year. And now California farmers say the federal government is about to make matters even worse. ABC's Ron Claiborne reports.
This Sacramento Valley farm, like thousands of others in California, is facing a drastic cutback in water supplied by the federal government. A cutback that would prevent Steve Dennis from cultivating most of his land.
We're going to be able to plant about 37% of our rice this year. So we're looking at 25 to 30% planting.
This year, California's agriculturally rich heartland will get only 30% of its normal water supply because of the continuing drought. Almost all of that water going to urban areas and the habitats of endangered species like the Chinook salmon. Many farmers will get no water at all.
We have made some estimates that perhaps as much as 1 million acres of land could be fallowed.
Steve Dennis says farmers, farm workers, and the entire agriculturally dependent economy could be badly hurt.
Well, it'll mean that the seasonal hires that I normally hire in the spring and in the fall, I won't hire any of them. And we'll do our best to keep the people that we have now.
In the nearby town of Maxwell, Sue Sutton, a farmer's wife, has organized a group of volunteers who are lobbying legislators to get more water.
We're not talking just about a job. We're talking about a way of life. A way of life, which, for example, in our family has been that way for 4 generations.
There's still hope for California's farmers. In the last week, there's been heavy snow and rain, but reservoir levels are still far below normal. If that doesn't change soon, it could mean much higher produce prices for the entire country. Ron Claiborne, ABC News, Los Angeles.
FBI officials are blaming drugs and hard economic times for a surge in bank robberies last year. The nationwide total has not yet been tallied, but the FBI says it is expected to top the record of 7,800 bank robberies set back in 1990. In a moment, Martina Navratilova, older, wiser, and still a winner.
About 40.
In 1895, Wilhelm Röntgen discovered X-rays. The following year, Siemens worked closely with him to develop its first X-ray tubes. That was then. This is now. Today, Siemens manufactures imaging technology that helps doctors save lives. And with 35,000 people nationwide, the men and women of Siemens will continue to manufacture ideas that even Professor Röntgen never dreamed of. Siemens, precision thinking.
I'm alive, William Hines.
I'm alive, Michael Hines.
For a free list of cars with airbags, see your Allstate agent.
To help relieve her heartburn, her antacid uses aluminum and magnesium, but his is Tums, and Tums has calcium.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
Tums.
How can it be that an automobile, a mere 9 inches larger on the outside, gives you over 2 feet more room on the inside? Maybe it's the new math. The all-new 1992 Toyota Camry. We just couldn't leave well enough alone.
From the frigid North Atlantic to the treacherous waters off New Zealand, from oceans all over the world comes Red Lobster's World of Lobster. Now succulent rock lobster, petite deep sea lobster, sweet Maine lobster, in delicious combinations and at special prices you'll think the world of. Hurry in now, because this spectacular event ends soon. Red Lobster's World of Lobster.
The New Hampshire primary, David Brinkley, Peter Jennings, play-by-play of the race, the runners, the results. Watch ABC News special coverage Tuesday.
Our sports maven Ray Gandolf is in New York working on his backhand and taking a look at the Grand Dame of the tennis world, along with, of course, today's sports highlights. Ray?
Thank you, Forrest. The Duke Blue Devils have tightened their grip on college basketball's top ranking. They jumped on North Carolina State early today and won by 8 points. Grant Hill leading away with 20. The Los Angeles Lakers today retired Irvin Magic Johnson's jersey number 32 at halftime of a game with Boston. Even the Celtics applauded. Davey Allison won his first ever Daytona 500, leading most of the way after a 14-car pileup had cleared out most of the challengers. And in Chicago, Martina Navratilova in the far court here beat Yana Novotná in 3 sets to win the 158th tournament of her career, more than any man or woman who ever walked the earth. She had shared the old record of 157 with her old rival, Chris Evert. We caught up with Martina in Chicago the other day and talked about Chris Evert and cabbages and kings and many things.
The crowds have just been phenomenal. And I'm loving every minute of it. It makes tennis so much more enjoyable. I think that's really the main reason I'm still playing.
From Aspen, Colorado, Martina Navratilova.
The crowd was certainly with her this past week as she tried to win the Virginia Slims of Chicago for the 12th time. But it wasn't always like that. When she was a fat teenager who defected from Czechoslovakia in 1975, Martina Navratilova was the villain, especially when she played America's darling, Chris Evert.
Very pretty, very ladylike, very American. And I was this brash Czech coming on, trying to be an American, not knowing how to go about it.
She went about it by slimming down and toughening up, and by winning 18 Grand Slam tournaments, Wimbledon a record 9 times.
Game 7 match with Navratilova.
And she learned to bring her volatile emotions under control.
Now I think I'm more balanced as an athlete, emotionally, physically, and mentally. Those 3 facets are working together much better.
A few years ago, with aching knees and faltering confidence, Martina sought out Billie Jean King.
Again?
Operations fixed the knees. Billie Jean took care of the rest.
Well, I think it's safe to say if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be playing anymore.
The only tennis problem Martina seems not to have solved is loss of concentration, wool gathering during matches about all manner of things.
Whether it's what's going on with Bush in Japan, or, gee, it's 9:30, room service closes at 10 o'clock, I better get off the court so I can order food. All kinds of things pop into my head, and that's my biggest struggle, is to keep my mind on the task at hand, which is getting the ball over the net.
Her biggest distraction these days is a multi-million-dollar lawsuit filed by her former lover, Judy Nelson, last year. It has added to the torment she has long suffered from the public acknowledgement of her homosexuality.
It's much easier being heterosexual, believe me. Much easier pretending, but you know, I have a life to live that I want to live to its fullest, and pretending is not really the way I like to be.
Game point.
And so, upfront and outspoken about everything, like a proud, aging lion, Martina Navratilova still goes forth to do battle with whippersnappers and teeny boppers.
That's just a great shot.
But it's getting tougher.
Of course. I'm 35 years old. Of course it's tougher.
I'm going to wait for the body to say this far and no farther?
No, I think the mind will go before the body. I think I'll just say enough.
Having beaten every champion from Billie Jean King to Monica Seles, Martina Navratilova has no more worlds to conquer. But she doesn't plan to say enough for a long time yet. Forrest?
Good news to the rest of us. Thank you, Ray. When we come back, the newest threat to the environment, the Winter Olympics.
You're about to see how Goodyear is changing all-season driving right before your eyes. Introducing AquaTread, only from Goodyear. AquaTread's advanced design channels water out of your way for dependable all-season traction, especially in the rain when you may need it most. AquaTread, the newest reason why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
After my accident, they advanced my insurance benefits and built me a ramp and got me back on my feet.
Your people really care. It meant a lot to us.
It was the global telecommunications link-up they built. Saved the negotiation.
Monday from New Hampshire, a preview of the nation's first primary.
And you've met the candidates, now meet the potential first ladies, plus Spike Lee.
Here on Good Morning America, Monday.
Countries all over the world compete for the chance to host the Olympics, and when they win, they spend billions to prepare for the Games. It is all big publicity, but critics say it can also be big trouble. Jim Bitterman has been listening to the controversy behind these Winter Olympics.
The Olympics carry high principles and hopes of high profits wherever they go. But French ecologists complain that this year's Winter Games raise high concerns as well. Their charge? That the Olympics will mean further development of an area some already consider overbuilt. In its enthusiasm to host the Games, France spent more than $1 billion constructing new roads, train stations, and other infrastructure improvements, which are sure to bring more people into the fragile alpine environment.
Building new lifts and having more and more pylon and bubbles and chairlifts and things like this, which just destroys the scenery during the summer.
More specifically, the environmentalists have a quarrel with Olympic facilities site by site. They say, for instance, that the cross-country course was built straight through a rare alpine marsh, and that beneath the dramatic snow-covered downhill runs are less than pretty scars left by deforestation and massive resculpturing of the mountainsides. Even some Olympic supporters were amazed at the construction of the ammonia-cooled bobsled run, a $42 million snake of concrete, of limited use after the Games, and so dangerous during them that those who live near it have been issued gas masks in case of an ammonia leak. Still, the Olympics don't worry everyone. Promoters believe improvements made for the Games will bring in more tourists and more money at a time when the local economy had been headed in the same direction as the local ski runs.
It is an advantage having these Games, and even if we have to suffer in some respect, so we think that this will be a long-term benefit.
Ecologists here disagree and warn Olympic organizers that after the Games, there could be defeat as well as victory. There are plenty of gold medals and plenty of winners at every Olympics, but environmentalists say one of the biggest losers at this one could be the Alps themselves. Jim Bitterman, ABC News, Moutier, France.
And that is our report on this World News Sunday. I'm Forrest Sawyer. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
From Washington, this has been World News Sunday.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Sunday, 100 Ghosts take on Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, and Rick Moranis. You got him! Ghostbusters 2 Sunday.
Add beauty, comfort, and value to your home with a delightful new Pleasure View room enclosure from Spurlock & Carter. An affordable Pleasure View room features maintenance-free construction, insulated walls and ceilings, as well as fully screened, weather-tight windows that open and close easily and lock securely. A Pleasure View room will quickly become the most active and enjoyable room of your home. Call now for your free estimate. Enjoy the outdoors with the privacy, comfort, and convenience of a beautiful Pleasure View room by Spurlock & Carter.
To me, hot stuffed baked potatoes make the meal, and Wendy's is the only place that has them. They're hot and delicious with all kinds of toppings, like broccoli and cheese, sour cream and chives, and bacon and cheese. They go great with our fresh salads. I really like them with our old-fashioned chili, and they're terrific with a grilled chicken sandwich. We make a great baked potato, so you can make a great meal.
Try our hot stuffed baked potatoes today. They're only at Wendy's.
Join Ann Holt and Bob Mueller on Channel 2 News at 5 and 6.
And now,